Markle's insane demands to enter the disunited kingdom have been revealed.
4 entire floors of a luxury hotel completely shut down. Every single room cleared out. Staff warned not to even look in her direction. Armed security at every entrance, bulletproof glass in place. At a sporting event, it doesn't stop there. A private chef flown in from another continent. A line of luxury cars already waiting at the airport. Police escort included, no questions asked. And here's where it gets even more intense. Anyone who speaks to her must address her as Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex. No exceptions, no slip-ups, no casual conversation. That's what multiple reports now circulating across British media are claiming.
By the way, can I just be very clear? We don't want you, love. So making all of these demands, which we are going to have to pay for, is not going to go down well. Seriously. I mean, the types of things she's asking for are nuts. These are totally jaw-dropping conditions for her first trip back in 4 years.
And if true, this isn't just high standards, this is a full-blown power move. Because let's not forget, this is the same person who walked away from royal life, saying it was too restrictive, too controlled, too suffocating. And now, the demands being described sound even more extreme than what senior royals ever required.
Meghan's mole says Harry insists Meghan must be treated as HRH. That means family members must show her the formal respect of bows and curtsy.
Unsurprisingly, insiders say the palace isn't exactly impressed. Not even close. The Invictus Games are heading to Birmingham in 2027, but the build-up kicks off much earlier, July 2026, with a major one-year countdown event. Prince Harry is expected to be there. That part is simple, but the moment Meghan's name enters the picture, everything shifts fast. Because now this isn't just about a military charity event anymore. It's turning into something far more complicated. Meghan reportedly wants to attend too, but only under very specific conditions.
These people don't. Anybody that has ever worked with a bully, anybody that has ever known a bully, knows the only thing that makes a difference is when you confront them. They will never, ever change their behavior. She treated people really appallingly.
According to a royal insider scoop, later amplified across British TV and commentary shows, her team has already circulated a detailed checklist for the Birmingham trip. And that checklist, it doesn't read like standard security planning. It reads like a backstage rider from a global superstar on tour, 4 floors of a Hyatt hotel reserved exclusively for her and her entourage. Additional security stationed outside at all times, staff given strict instructions, no eye contact, no interaction, no mistakes. This isn't just preparation, this is control at a completely different level. Drivers on standby 24/7, a fleet of armored vehicles ready to move at any moment.
She's making this demand so extreme because she doesn't want to be there. So she's just doing extra because it's a way of her being very vindictive towards the
Police escort from the airport straight to the hotel, bulletproof glass installed at the venue itself, and it keeps going. A personal chef brought in just for her, a full hair and makeup team flown in separately, multiple hotel rooms blocked off, not for family, not for guests, but just for PR staff handling the image behind the scenes. Then comes the detail that really lit up British social media, the reported rule that anyone who interacts with her must use the full title, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Sussex, every single time. No shortcuts, no relaxed tone, no slipping up, and that's where people started asking questions because she hasn't been a working royal since January 2020.
She applied the rules of celebrity to the royal family and it didn't fit. That was her fundamental mistake here. Her playbook was a really smart playbook for Hollywood, a really smart playbook for American celebrity. The mistake she made was she applied it to the one institution, the one place where it wasn't going to work.
Now let's be fair for a second. This isn't coming from some signed document with her name stamped on it. There's no official checklist sitting out there for everyone to see. But here's the thing. The same details keep showing up again and again across different outlets. Entertainment reports, royal commentators, and even mainstream coverage. Names like GB News and Fox News Digital have both touched on the story, especially when it comes to the security side of things. So even if parts of it are exaggerated, like the full hotel lockdown, the core demand doesn't look like it's made up. Because one thing is clear across every version, she is not coming back to the UK without serious fortress-level protection.
Meghan is meeting the Queen as she thinks an equal, and that's a very American celebrity thing to do. At the Grammys and the Oscars, and when celebrities meet celebrities, they all feel like they're in this really elite, really special club. And so that is true with celebrities. What Meghan did again, the mistake she made, is that she wasn't meeting a celebrity, she was meeting the Queen. And she deserved more respect, she deserved more deference.
A royal expert speaking to Fox News Digital put it bluntly, she won't step foot in Britain without full security, police escorts, lockdown venues, zero risk tolerance, and here's where you've got to challenge the narrative a bit. If this was a one-off story, you could dismiss it. Say it's tabloid exaggeration, say it's media spin, say it's someone being unfairly targeted for having high standards. But when the same kind of claims keep popping up over and over again, at some point it stops looking random and starts looking like a pattern.
This right here shows you how much she is disturbed mentally, because no sane person would ask for such demands when you have literally done nothing. This woman is delusional in her thinking, and I think it shows exactly the kind of life of how she will make it miserable for the royal family if they give her anything.
But here's the thing, this isn't new, not even close. If you rewind this story, it goes all the way back to 2018, and it starts with something that sounds small but turned into a huge deal, a tiara. Royal historian Robert Lacey, in his book Battle of Brothers, describes a clash just weeks before the wedding. Meghan reportedly had her eye on a specific emerald tiara from the Queen's collection for the ceremony at St. George's Chapel, but palace officials raised concerns. The tiara's background, with possible Russian links, could create serious political awkwardness during a globally televised event. So the answer came back, not available. Simple as that. Except
to the UK to have a rival royal court, I think is exactly what they're going to try to do, and be more often in the UK. For some reason, I think Meghan's going to use it to do something not good.
it didn't stay simple. According to Lacey, and backed up by journalist Valentine Lowe in his book Courtiers, the response from Harry was explosive. A line that reportedly echoed through Buckingham Palace for months. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets? That wasn't just a private disagreement. That was a signal. And it didn't land well. Not at all. Even Queen Elizabeth II reportedly stepped in. Multiple royal biographers, including Angela Levin, say she made it clear Meghan couldn't have everything she wanted, and there needed to be more respect shown toward palace staff.
Meghan Markle doesn't have any hobbies. She doesn't collect stamps. She doesn't enjoy television. Meghan's her hobby. When she wakes up in the morning, the only thing she thinks about is Meghan till the minute she goes to bed. And as we know, if you do something a lot, whether it be go to the gym, whether it be read, you get pretty good at it. She's really good at being Meghan Markle because that's all she does.
The situation escalated around Angela Kelly, the Queen's personal dresser and the gatekeeper to the entire royal tiara collection. And this is where it got tense. There were reported clashes over scheduling fittings. Meghan and Harry wanted specific dates. Kelly pushed back, said no. According to Lowe's reporting, that standoff caused what he described as dissent in the ranks. Staff who had never seen anyone challenge the Queen's dresser like that were suddenly watching it happen in real time. Now, to be fair, there's another version of this story. The Meghan-friendly account in Finding Freedom by Omid Scobie and Carolyn Durand downplays the Queen's involvement completely. In that version, the tension was between Harry and Angela Kelly, not Meghan and the monarch. But here's where you've got to think critically.
Nearly 6 years in America, the royal fairy dust is finally wearing off. The clock has struck midnight and the lavish bandwagon she's been riding high on is finally turning back into a pumpkin. The Duchess has milked her connection for all it's worth, and now she needs to re-up on that magic. She needs to remind the world of who her in-laws are, to stay relevant, and more importantly, to stay commercial.
When multiple authors, writing separate books with different sources, all point to the same pattern: demands, pushback, and growing frustration inside the palace, at some point, it stops looking like coincidence and starts looking like a consistent pattern that's hard to ignore. The tiara drama wasn't the only thing raising eyebrows before the wedding, not even close. There was also the situation with a 500-year-old chapel, and this one hit a nerve inside the palace. According to royal biographer Robert Jobson, backed by reports from Daily Mail, Meghan allegedly requested that air-freshening atomizers be sprayed throughout St. George's Chapel before the ceremony. Her issue? The building smelled musty. She wanted it freshened up. Now pause for a second. This isn't just any venue. This is the chapel where Henry VIII is buried, where Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, had her funeral, a place that has hosted generations of royal weddings, ceremonies, and history. And the story goes, she walks in, takes a breath, and decides it's not good enough. That didn't land well at all. Palace staff reportedly refused. Multiple sources described the request as inappropriate. And this moment became one of the early sparks behind the bridezilla narrative that followed her during her time in the royal family. Now, to keep this balanced, there is a counterpoint here. For example, Catherine, Princess of Wales, reportedly had orange blossom candles placed throughout Westminster Abbey for her 2011 wedding. And records from Diptyque confirm that scented candles and room sprays were also used around Harry and Meghan's wedding spaces. So wanting a venue to smell pleasant, that's not crazy, not at all. But here's the difference people keep pointing to. There's a big gap between quietly setting a mood with candles and allegedly telling staff that a historic royal chapel smells bad and needs fixing immediately. Same idea, completely different tone, and according to multiple palace insiders, that tone is what really caused friction, because it didn't stop at the chapel. Not even close. Valentine Lowe, backed by several insider accounts, described the broader wedding prep as filled with tension. Clashes over music choices, scheduling issues, even disagreements around bridesmaid dresses. At this point, you're not looking at one awkward moment. You're looking at a pattern of friction that kept building behind the scenes. One summary of Valentine Lowe's claims cut straight to the point. Palace staff didn't feel like they were being asked. They felt like they were being told. Requests, according to insiders, came across as commands. Not suggestions, not collaboration, commands. And that tone, it reportedly didn't sit well with Queen Elizabeth II, who was said to be concerned about how her staff were being treated behind the scenes. Then came the leaks, and they only made things worse. Stories about 5 a.m. emails packed with long to-do lists, reports of tension over bridesmaid dresses, including an incident involving Princess Charlotte that allegedly left Catherine, Princess of Wales, in tears. All of it started building a very specific image. A woman stepping into a centuries-old institution, expecting a fast-moving, Hollywood-style operation, and instead hitting a system that moves at its own pace, on its own rules. And it didn't stop at the wedding, not even close. The expectations reportedly extended into how life inside the royal family would actually work, including money, roles, and status. Royal biographer Angela Levin has claimed Meghan was surprised to learn there's no payment per appearance, no fee per event, no talent contract waiting at the end of a royal engagement. Speaking to GB News, Levin suggested Meghan expected compensation, visibility, and higher status roles than what she was being offered. Then came the housing situation, and this one raised serious eyebrows. According to multiple royal commentators and reports, Meghan and Harry initially wanted to live in Windsor Castle itself, not nearby, not adjacent. The actual castle, the Queen's residence, the heart of the monarchy. That request shut down immediately. Instead, they were given Frogmore Cottage, a 10-bedroom property that was renovated with around £30 million in public funds to match their specifications. She Oaks. They lived there for about a year and then left for California. And even after stepping away, the expectations didn't seem to disappear. In a later interview, Angela Levin claimed Meghan would only consider returning to the UK if she could take on roles similar to those held by Catherine: high-profile charity work, major patronages, and the kind of visibility that comes with being one of the top-ranking women in the royal family. At that point, you've got to ask the obvious question. Is this about fitting into the system or trying to reshape it entirely? Add in a big house and serious money, and now you've got the full picture. Whether you call that ambition or entitlement honestly depends on where you stand in the Meghan debate. But for palace insiders who've been watching this since 2018, one thing keeps showing up again and again. There's a pattern, and it's hard to ignore, because if you strip away all the flashy details, the hotel floors, the private chef, the bulletproof glass, what's left underneath is something real and way more complicated: security. When Harry and Meghan stepped down in January 2020, they didn't just lose royal duties, they lost automatic taxpayer-funded armed protection. That protection isn't random, it's controlled by RAVEC, the body that assesses threats and decides who gets security on a case-by-case basis. And ever since then, Prince Harry has been fighting to change that. He launched a legal challenge against the Home Office, arguing that his family faces real risks and that the current system just isn't enough. Now here's where it gets interesting. Reports suggest he might actually be getting close to a breakthrough, or at least forcing a formal review of how these decisions are made. Even GB News pointed out the awkward position this could create. Because if Harry wins, and if armed protection gets approved for UK visits, then the biggest reason for staying away suddenly disappears. And that raises a tough question. If security is solved, what's left? Royal experts have already said Meghan sees the UK as hostile territory. Even with protection in place, there's still the issue of public reaction. The headlines, the pressure, the atmosphere. So yes, the security concern is real, no doubt about that. But critics argue it might also be the last acceptable reason to stay in Montecito, while Harry continues making solo trips back to the UK. And that tension between genuine safety concerns and what some call strategic avoidance is exactly where frustration inside the palace reportedly sits. Because if the stories about extreme demands are even partly true, then this stops looking like protection and starts looking like something else entirely. At a certain point, this stops being about comfort and starts looking like control. Control over the environment, control over the people, control over the narrative. A bubble so tight that nothing, not the press, not the public, not even the country she left, can get through. And when you line everything up, the pattern hits hard. 2018, the tiara situation, specific choice. Pushback from the palace, tension with Angela Kelly, concerns raised, boundaries set. Then the chapel moment, complaints about the atmosphere inside St. George's Chapel, reports of early morning emails, staff feeling pressure from the tone, not just the requests. At one point, the message allegedly became crystal clear. What Meghan wants, Meghan gets. And even Queen Elizabeth II had to step in and draw a line. 2019, the housing ask, not just anywhere, Windsor Castle itself. The answer, no. Instead, Frogmore Cottage, renovated with millions, tailored to fit. 1 year later, gone. 2020, a stepping away from royal duties, security stripped. And from that point on, the fight begins to get it back. But this time, on their own terms. Fast forward to 2026. And the scale has changed, but the pattern, it looks very familiar. Now we're talking about reported demands, entire hotel floors locked down, bulletproof setups, private chefs, armed convoys, strict title rules that sound closer to diplomatic protocol than anything else. Same instinct, just on a bigger stage. Because underneath all of it, the approach doesn't seem to shift. Every space controlled, every interaction managed, every environment adjusted before stepping in. This isn't coming from one voice either. Robert Lacey wrote about it, Valentine Lowe documented it, Angela Levin has been repeating it for years on television. And now, why 6 years after stepping away, the same conversation is happening again. This time around the Invictus Games in Birmingham. And here's where the contrast gets uncomfortable. The Invictus Games were built for wounded veterans, people who've lost limbs, lost time, lost parts of their lives most of us can't even imagine. They don't arrive with 4 floors waiting for them. They don't get bulletproof glass or private chefs flown across continents. They show up, they compete, they push forward anyway. That raw, no excuses energy, that's what made Invictus powerful in the first place. So if these reported demands are what it takes to get Meghan Markle into that space, then maybe the real question isn't whether the palace should agree to them. Maybe the question is way simpler. Does the event actually need her there at all? Because if this story keeps building, and it looks like it will, the next chapter could get even bigger. With RAVEC decisions, legal battles, and a potential UK return turning into a serious test, not just for her, but for the monarchy itself.